When someone hears the name Nintendo, they might think about your typical Marios, your Zeldas, and perhaps Kirby's. And that included myself. As a kid, Nintendo didn't go far beyond what I saw in Super Smash Bros. But as I grew up, gained more access to the internet, or better or worse, and learned more about the deep history of this company, that eventually led me to discover and play new games I'd never seen before. F-Zero, Fire Emblem, Xenoblade Chronicles. But among all the new games and franchises I discovered, I think Pikmin might have been the most unique of them all.
Pikmin. Many of you have heard that name, but how many of you have actually played these games? And how many of you have actually finished one of them? I don't mean to gatekeep by saying that, but Pikmin is not exactly one of Nintendo's most popular franchises. I mean, it's definitely not obscure nor forgotten.
Miyamoto, I'm pointing my gun at a generic, soulless modern Paper Mario Toad. Where is my new F-Zero?
But it's also nowhere close to some of Nintendo's most recognizable series, and in a way, I think I know why. Pikmin games are not exactly the type that you can just pick and expect to understand in a few seconds, unlike Mario, for example. Pikmin is a very special franchise in every aspect, in its setting, in its mechanics, ideas, and even its essence. But that also means it might not appeal to every single person, yet, if you do the effort and try to understand these games, I think you're bound to find a very unique franchise that you just can't compare to anything else. I, like many others out there, came to know Pikmin through Smash Bros, since, you know, Olimar is a playable character in Brawl. Right from the get-go, he stood out from the rest of the fighters, and I mean that in a positive and negative way. Yeah, I'm aware Olimar is a top-tier character competitively, but as a kid, he was so unorthodox and complicated to play as. You have to prioritize always having Pikmin with you who will die easily, and Olimar's small size made him pretty easy to kill. As someone who only played for fun, he felt so weak and so difficult to play as. But that doesn't mean that was the end of it. Smash Brawl is a game that means a lot to me, because it basically opened the gateways for me to get interested in more games. That's how I got motivated to try Metroid, F-Zero, Metal Gear, Kid Icarus, and Pikmin was no exception. Even though at first I wasn't Olimar's biggest fan gameplay-wise, I found his entire concept so interesting. How he required these cute alien-like creatures to perform many actions. His stage that only seemed to be planet Earth but was also filled with bizarre critters. You also had the trophies that show all these cool monster designs. This will eventually lead me to check YouTube, read articles about it on that Club Nintendo magazine I've talked about before, and even go to online pages such as Guías Nintendo. Such good times with that page. Because I honestly was very interested in Pikmin. I wanted to know, what is all this stuff I keep seeing in Brawl?
So when I decided to finally give Pikmin a chance, I remember I called this local game store I had just found about. Because people told me, no, just call them, ask for any game you want, and 100% they will have it. So I called them, hey, did you guys have this GameCube game called Pikmin? To which they only said, yeah. So my dad took me there, and I got it! I kinda miss how easy it was to get GameCube games in the past.
So, what is Pikmin? In the simplest of terms, the Pikmin series always have in control of a captain, and they all have the ability to control the titular Pikmin, which are necessary to gather treasures back into your ship and pretty much everything else. Individually, they barely achieve anything. But by working together, they can do great things, from carrying heavy stuff, fight monsters many times their size, build bridges, destroy walls, and much more. The Pikmin are also divided in colors, and each has a unique effect. The red ones hit harder and are immune to fire. The blue ones can walk underwater without drowning. The purple ones are juggernauts that stun opponents and can lift items 10 times their size. While the rock ones are excellent to break crystals and cannot be crushed. There's still more colors, all with their own skills. But what I love so much about Pikmin is that the design of each area. Each obstacle is designed in a way that every Pikmin color becomes relevant at different points of the games. Each Pikmin has its moment to shine. Sometimes you will even come across certain obstacles that will require you to use different colors in creative ways. But obstacles and puzzles aren't the only things you have to look out for. Since every map, every corner will present a plethora of creatures who won't hesitate to attack you on sight. The enemy variety has always been fantastic in Pikmin because you have all sorts of enemies, from big to small, from docile to aggressive, goofy and menacing. but every single one of them is so memorable in its own right. See, the coolest part about Pikmin is that on the surface it might look like this cute, fun game about plants and weird creatures. But when you take everything I just mentioned into consideration, the games turn into an exciting yet tense and dangerous adventure. These games will ask players that they master management, strategy, multitasking, and most importantly, working under stress. And yeah, I know that sounds like requisites for a shitty job, but in Pikmin, it is true. And the main reason for this is that the games have time limits. Although, I find it cool how each game handles this differently. In Pikmin 1, you have a set time limit of 30 days. In Pikmin 3, you can extend your time limit depending on how much fruit you collect. Pikmin 2 is the most forgiving game, since you have all the time in the world to finish it. But I still think there is some pressure put on the player, because just the sole fact that there is a timer up there triggers this instinct of wanting to do everything you possibly can in one day. And the time limit is one thing. The way I painted the challenge doesn't even compare to the actual experience. These are games where one misstep is enough to make you lose 20, 50, even 80 Pikmin all in one go. Even if your Pikmin are busy with one thing, you still have to make sure they don't come across an enemy, a hazard, or other unpredictable things. All while making sure you're all said and done once nighttime comes. I won't lie, I think Pikmin games by nature are a bit stressful. But it's one of those things where that stress ends up being very exciting, and not just that, immensely satisfying. It's like playing a horror game. Like, yeah, you can get scared beyond hell. Like that one time I got a panic attack. But that doesn't change the fact they can give you emotions not other games can replicate. With Pikmin, I find a lot of things rewarding. I get stressed when fighting a monster because they can lower my numbers in a matter of seconds. But seeing them explode and die, and then carry their carcasses back to the Onion and see those Pikmin numbers rapidly increase, it's so satisfying! I get impatient when my Pikmin are building a bridge or destroying a wall, but hearing that iconic jingle, I like that, because now I have more areas to explore. I especially love carrying whatever treasure my Pikmin have back on the ship and just see what cool thing I managed to get this time. This is part of why I think Pikmin is not a massive Nintendo franchise like the other ones. The games are great, the concept is fantastic, and the challenge is punishing. But that also means these games aren't exactly accessible. I can respect how further releases try to make them easier for newcomers to dive in, with fantastic quality of life features, an option to rewind time, and even different control schemes. Actually, Pikmin is honestly one of the few franchises where motion controls enhance the experience. The Wiimote and nunchuck combo on these games is just unrivaled. But even then, the core essence of the series remains a bit more complex than the other Nintendo franchises, which any person can understand with ease. And that's not even mentioning just how unique each game is. One is what you will expect from a first entry in a series. It has some rough edges and lacks some great features future games will implement. But its simplicity delivers a very straightforward experience that is easier to digest. In fact, I think Pikmin 1 is the most fun game to replay just to see if you can beat your previous records. Pikmin 2 expands on everything. It adds more types of Pikmin, more dangers, a new captain to control, upgrades for your equipment, but also the introduction of caves that give the game a more dungeon crawler-like experience that also makes it very punishing and miles longer than any other game in the series. And then, you have Pikmin 3 with a much deeper level design and puzzles. Since you take control of 3 characters at the same time, the amount of management and thinking you gotta do here surpasses its predecessors. Then you have Pikmin Bloom that requires you to do the most difficult thing an average gamer has to do: walking. Pikmin is challenging, but if you take the time and effort and learn to appreciate its core aspects, I think you're bound to find many incredible things to love about this franchise, because it isn't just the gameplay that is great. Personally, I also love the Pikmin games because of their worlds. I love exploring each area and what makes each one so different from one another, what obstacles and monsters I'll find there. I love how the Pikmin planet is a post-apocalyptic planet Earth, because that means there's tons of objects and treasures any player can recognize. I've also mentioned in the past my bias for games where you're so tiny, everyday objects become big obstacles, so Pikmin clicks that soft spot for me. These games in general have a very unique charm. Some of my favorite parts are those moments of respite, when a day ends and you can relax for a bit, but also read entry logs from the captains talking about their current situation. The most unforgettable moment for me was reading the Piclopedia from Pikmin 2, where you can read curious facts about the monsters you have encountered and the treasures you have collected. It's so cute because both Olimar and Louis get their own entry logs. Olimar's are more scientific, while Louis' are literally recipes on how to cook the enemies. It's so much fun to read! It's through these means that you learn that Captain Olimar is a Nintendo character that canonically has fucked at least twice, fought space pirates, gets mails from hot singles in his area, and smoked weed. Like, I don't think these things were necessary at all to enjoy the experience, but they are very good and I appreciate them a lot nonetheless, because they tell me that the developers behind these games just care that much.
Pikmin is also very special for me on a unique level. I've told this story a few times before, but for those who don't know, back in 2012, I was beyond excited for Pikmin 3, like, I think this is one of the games I've been the most hyped for in my entire life. I will follow every single news I could about it. I will rewatch the trailers many times. I will think about it every single day. This game was the main reason I got myself a Wii U. Then it got delayed, and all I got at launch was Assassin's Creed 3 and New Super Mario Bros. U. That's pretty sad actually. At least Nintendo Land was pretty cool. But in that excitement, I ended up making a Facebook page, Captain Olimar, and that page changed my life forever. I didn't just use it to talk about how hype I was for Pikmin 3. I will share memes and my shitty teenage opinions. But most importantly, it helped me to make friends, and these people remain very close to me. And those friends will also help me to make other friends. And none of these people eventually pushed me to make this YouTube channel, and I know I told this story before, but it's pretty crazy when you think about it, because my excitement and love for Pikmin basically became a turning point that took me to where I am today. And how can I put this? It's like that domino effect photo, but it starts with, wow, this guy in Smash Bros is kinda weak. And then it ends up with a YouTube channel that gives my life meaning. That's why Pikmin means so much to me.
And I mean, moving my personal story aside, Pikmin is just a unique franchise. I know I said this before, but I just can't compare it to anything else. It's its own beast, and nothing comes close to what makes this one so special. It doesn't matter what game you choose to play. All of them are worth it and are also incredible in their own merits. Pikmin 1 for its simplicity and pacing, Pikmin 2 for its plethora of content and difficulty, and Pikmin 3 for its beautiful graphics and complexity. If anybody ever tells me that their favorite game is 1, 2 or 3, I will completely understand why. They are all that incredible. Just don't tell me Pikmin 2 isn't that good, cause otherwise... Not gonna lie, a part of me believes that the reason Pikmin continues to get some sort of relevancy nowadays is because Shigeru Miyamoto clearly loves this universe he created. I mean, one time he even stated that he intended Pikmin to be Nintendo's next Mario. And even though that is not the case sales-wise, I think that statement is true in terms of quality and just how much soul these games have. And I'm honestly all down for that. Pikmin is a one-of-a-kind series. It might look confusing and overwhelming at first, but if you ever decide to give it a shot, you'll eventually see why it deserves all the love Miyamoto and fans alike give to it.
So tell me, what do you think about Pikmin? Have you ever been interested in the games? If you have already played them, then which one in the series is your favorite? Please let me know in the comments, cause I always enjoy reading what you guys have to say. And while you do that, thank you so much for your time. I really hope you enjoyed the video. And if, well, you want to support the channel, you know, by liking, sharing, commenting, subscribing, or Patreon, that will help me a lot. Like, a lot. A fuck ton, I wanna say. So, anyway, have a wonderful day, and take care. I'll see you next time. And for those who have followed me since the Captain Olimar days, the Pikmin content is real.